Okay, so this is basically a Beneteau 46.1. We're renting it in Corfu out of Gouveia Harbor. Okay. And we see so far wonderful side decks, which we already knew about with this vessel. And then in the charter configuration, they have a self-packing jib, which will make it easier, but maybe not our favorite. Probably prefer to go a little faster.
So the shrouds are inboard, so that helps for accessing the side decks forward and aft. It's pretty easy to get down into the cockpit through the helm. Okay, so we had the opportunity to sail on the beautiful Beneteau Oceanis 46.1, and this was the cruise company's version, so it wasn't even labeled as a Beneteau, but it was the 46.1. It's a 48-foot vessel. So what did you think about the handling?
So we were sailing in the North Ionian Sea in May, so overall the winds were pretty light. So we did do a lot of motoring as a result. On the way back, it was heavier wind, although pretty rainy that day. We ended up just going with the head sail. And for that, it did nicely. I mean, the swell was pretty high, like probably 5 to 7 feet of swell. But the boat managed it well, I thought.
Yeah, and we did have one day that we sailed as well, where we got both sails up. And
yeah.
So do you remember, was that a...
Yeah, I remember liking it pretty well. I mean, my overall sense is it did feel awfully big, especially we sail a lot with 3 people, and we like to be able to sail even with 2 of us if it can be comfortable.
I do remember too is the wind just really, because it was such a big boat, the wind would just really take the bow, and even with the bow thruster there was times that it was hard to get the...
That was a really huge issue, that there's enough freeboard on the boat if you're trying to do maneuvering, especially getting in toward the dock or out in higher wind, which we experienced that a portion of the time. It was very difficult. I mean, I'm sure over time you'd probably get used to it, but initially that was difficult.
Yeah. And I really liked the ease of getting forward on the boat. But I will say, when we were trying to med moor, it was like you start at the back of the boat. That area is really narrow on the side decks and kind of hard to maneuver. But once you get forward enough, it's easy. And we have been on other boats where you have a little bit more room than that. But what did you think about the cockpit, the helm?
The cockpit is spectacular in the sense that it's really large. Could certainly accommodate a lot of people in the anchorage for sundowners. That's a nice thought. And then the helm stations themselves are just really beautifully designed. They're works of art.
Yeah. We also loved this large swim set that was motorized and was great for getting in and out of the dinghy.
So our boat was equipped just with 1 winch at each helm station. I do think a lot of people opt for a second winch at the helm station. I don't know what the percentages are, but on the used market, I see a lot of boats with a second winch also. I think I would prefer a second winch because there's no winches on the coach top. So then you're trying to run everything, all your halyards, spinnakers, you name it, everything through 1 winch on each side.
Which I think is a plus, that all your lines come back to the helm, that there is nothing on the cabin top. Yeah. And then also you can use that cabin top as another lounge spot. So then you go down below, you have some really nice, easy steps to get down below, and man, was it spacious down in the salon and the galley. Now this was an inline galley, which normally I kind of, I'm not sure, do I prefer an inline galley over, because you lose that settee area, you don't have as much space in the salon. But when you have 4 people or even 2 people, that inline galley was really spacious. We could all be in there, preparing coffee, grabbing some fruit. The refrigerator was nice and large, a really good freezer that you reach from the countertop that actually really worked well. So I actually ended up loving the galley. I was surprised that I would enjoy an inline galley, but I really loved it.
And you have massive counter space on either side of the sink.
And
Quite
lots of
remarkable
storage,
that way. And then, not only do you have a lot of storage kind of at the counter level and below, but they also have cupboards running, I think, all the way around the salon higher up. So there's massive amount of storage.
And there was plenty of drawers for storage as well. And there was a great storage under the floorboards that had a gas hinge. And it was a place to store wine bottles, but we used it for all of our soft drinks because it was something we could easily grab, get into. And then that takes me back up to the cockpit. Actually had a little ice chest built into the table too, where we could keep a lot of soft drinks there cold with some ice too. So.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the storage on the boat is massive.
Yeah. This was a 3-cabin, 3-head version. And we had the owner's cabin, which was forward and extremely roomy. I will say I was a little bit disappointed, and some of the storage was kind of hard to get to, but there was plenty of storage. It's just that you had to be up on the bed to kind of reach those shelves and open them. And for me, that was a little challenging with my knee issues, but we had a nice big hanging locker in there, and just really felt super spacious, and a queen size
absolutely.
bed.
There were also these cubbies on each side of the bed, as well as a nice large drawer under the bed.
But I think my favorite thing was that there was a separate shower room, and then on the other side of the cabin, on the starboard side, I believe it was, there was the head and sink. So there were 2 sinks, one in the shower room and one with the head. And so we just and there was lots of storage in the heads. So we I put my toiletries in the shower room, he put his toiletries in the cupboards in the head, and so we actually had places where we could get ready separately. And then of course we shared the other functions of those rooms. And so then there was 2 aft cabins. They each had their own head, and I don't know what size the beds were. Do you? Probably queen size.
They're roughly queen. I mean, we noticed that we both love having a settee. So it's tricky because with the long galley, you get amazing space and storage and counter space in the galley, but then you lose the settee. So you have to figure out which way to go. There's multiple configurations available.
Yeah, I kind of think I could go either way, but when you have 4 people, I do think that having that, especially when you're sailing in places that are warmer, because you're going to spend more time in the cockpit. I mean, there were times that we were all 4 down in the salon area, so of course one person couldn't get out unless someone else moved for them. But I mean, we still had plenty of room for 4 people. You could easily, fit a couple more people around there. Probably comfortably 6 people. With a couple people would be blocked in. But it was really nice with traveling with another couple, having that big galley where we could all just get in there and make our breakfast. Probably breakfast was the main thing we did. We did do some lunches, but everyone was in the cockpit and someone was down making lunch.
So the mast height is almost 67 feet. So if you're going to do extended cruising, you're going to run into some bridge trouble with a mast that tall. So you have to be aware of that. And then when I think about nearly 1,000 square feet of sail area, both the expense of eventually replacing sails, or maybe considering getting racing sails at some point, as well as just the weight of the 2 of us, your Genoa's going to weigh over 100 pounds most likely. Your mainsail probably will also. So to me, it felt like, I was surprised, but it felt like too big of a boat.
The thing I really noticed too, as I was down below making lunch, and how stable it was. And of course we were in more flat water, but even on that day that was pretty rough, I was surprised at how pretty stable it was.
You managed pretty well, and I think on on our boat, which is a Beneteau 423, and we love the boat, but I think it would have bounced around quite a bit.
According to Beneteau's website, the vessel comes in 2 other options. There's a 4-bed with 2 heads and a 3-bed with 2 heads. The 3-bed with 2 heads is the only option that does not have an inline galley. We hope you found this review of the beautiful Beneteau Oceanis 46.1 helpful, and we appreciate you watching.